All right, we're out at the home of Lisa Richter. We have some siding that we're looking at, and really not that much siding, but a lot of soffit and fascia, and a lot of soffit and fascia that needs to be addressed soon. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting more and more expensive with rot and critters, and just the exposure that the house has right now is a little concerning. And whether the work is performed by us or someone else, definitely a strong recommendation to get these issues handled and taken care of as soon as possible, just to prevent further complication, cost, effort, energy, all that good stuff. So like I said, it's a pretty much a majority of soffit and fascia work. We have a front porch ceiling and a rear porch ceiling. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of shutters on the house. As you can see, this one right here is pretty much all falling apart, so that'll be something when we get together that we want to discuss, is if we want new shutters on here or not. I like the shutters on here because it's a lot of brick and it's a sprawling kind of floor plan. So I think it does need something to dress up the front of the house, because all you see is the brick and the roof. So I think the shutters going on or staying on is a good idea. We'll start over on the right side and work our way back to the backyard. So over here, pretty straightforward. It's really most of the siding work is in the gables. So we have some triangular vents up top that'll stay right up here. All this siding needs to be torn off. That's a vinyl siding. All that needs to be torn off. We need to resheathe the walls with a 7/16 inch OSB. We put on our Hardie wrap after that, and then we put on all the trim and all the siding. The soffit right now is just vinyl, and the fascia and drip edge are wrapped with aluminum. So all that stuff, the soffit, the aluminum on the drip edge, and the fascia, all need to come off, and probably very strong likelihood that underneath that aluminum there is some rotted wood, because aluminum attracts heat and then just transfers all that heat and energy, cold as well, to that wood. So probably a fair amount of rot behind that aluminum wrapping on the fascia and the drip edge. Advise to do a fascia overlay once we repair all the fascia underneath the aluminum, and then just tear off the 1x2 drip edge, get rid of that completely, and put up a Hardie 1x2 drip edge. But that's what we have here, just a gable end, really all but maybe 2. So all the windows are in the brick walls, so nothing much we need to do there. All these little crow's feet thing and all that, those will all be wrapped with Hardie as well, just like the fascia. These gutters, there's about 100 feet of gutter on the front of the house. That all needs to come down and be basically thrown away. And then we can accomplish our fascia overlay correctly. So you can see on this gable end, you see the soffit is just falling down all the way up. You got the aluminum that's falling off at the cap up there towards the peak. So those things, another good couple storms, those things are just going to completely fall off. You can see this area is untreated fascia. You can see a certain degree of rot there just from the aluminum conducting to that. The soffit is all falling down right there. This rake, we call this a rake wall. So that underneath here would be siding. That would be the Hardie material, leaving the proper 1 to 2 inch exposure from the roof line to the siding. What you have right now is the siding is just smashed into the roof, which is not supposed to be how it is. It's supposed to have a little clearance there between the roof line and the sidewall. So we would leave the proper clearance there and do that all in Hardie plank. Coming around here, same thing. You see the porch ceiling up here is all vinyl. So we got to get all that torn off. This is the soffit where this kind of leaf, the gingerbread kind of stuff starts. Back that way towards the house is all considered porch ceiling. That would all need to come off, and we could put up a very nice Hardie porch ceiling that would match the soffit, and it would look just stunning. I mean, it would look gorgeous. Up under here you can see just varying degrees of where the stuff is falling down, and you can see it really badly over here by this window. That whole piece, that whole section is just falling down. As I mentioned, all this gutter would have to go bye-bye. Got another rake right here, so same treatment as the other one. You can see the aluminum just peeling and bending. That all needs to get off there. And putting on the Hardie just looks, I mean, the corners, you don't have the corners that look like this with the Hardie. It's just a nice clean look. It's cement, but it looks like wood. And it really does just aesthetically do a tremendous amount to the house in terms of making it look better. Plus it's cement, so you're never going to have to maintain it or paint it. I shouldn't say never, but not anytime soon, probably next 20-30 years. So that's what you can see here. Coming over to the right side, it's the same deal with the gable. We got some conduit there that we'd have to pull. Again, a triangular gable vent, tearing all the aluminum off the fascia and drip edge, tearing off all this siding, and then putting on our OSB board, our Hardie wrap, our trim, and then our siding. There's different profiles, but I really wouldn't recommend anything different here. You could go with a smooth, which would be a nice contrast to the brick, or you could do a cedar mill, which is going to have the grain texture like what you have now. But this is a vinyl product, and we'd be using the Hardie plank. So we come around here, got the gutter falling off. This back door, I'd recommend painting it. It has an aluminum capping around it now. So not a tremendous amount we can do with that, but I would definitely recommend painting this door. It has a little hole down there. So I know it's a garage door, but that's something you could, it looks like that goes through and through. That's something we could consider replacing if you wanted to, but worst case, door stays and we could paint it for you. So this is a little bit of siding up under here. Here you got two windows that would need to be wrapped in Hardie. Here you got some gutter kind of falling down there, you can see. But all of this up under here, this porch ceiling is wood. This could all be painted potentially. The Hardie is going to look a lot better, but this is in pretty good shape back here. So if we're looking at ways to maybe minimize cost, this would be one of those ways, is just painting this porch ceiling instead of doing it with Hardie. All this vinyl all the way around here. Obviously this whole window box area, that would all become Hardie plank all the way back to the brick where the transition is. But all this vinyl up here, all up over here, and then up behind me right here, that would all become Hardie plank. And it's just going to look so much nicer than this plastic up everywhere. Again, advisement on the porch ceiling, you could paint it if it comes down to a cost measure, but it would certainly look nice and be consistent with the rest of the material to have this porch ceiling done in Hardie. Here, kind of the same thing, have some major soffit issues. My concern here is birds, bees, squirrels, raccoons, possums, anything getting up into here and setting up shop, setting up a family, and then you got really big issues to deal with an exposed soffit like this. So like I said, even if this work is not performed by us, my professional recommendation would be that this get resolved ASAP to prevent further cost, damage, and just trouble and headache and hassle. So here you can see the other end of the porch ceiling. Got two windows that would need to be wrapped in a Hardie 1x4 right there. And then we got this gable here. You can see a lot of mold. See all that mold on there? Again, another triangular gable vent. We would just paint that. It's in good shape. And then obviously all this would be Hardie plank and be torn off. Same thing with the fascia. On a lot of the gable ends, we have a 1.5 foot fascia. On all the other, a 1.5 foot soffit. On all the other soffit, it's like 2.11. So it's pretty much a 3 foot soffit. So coming around to the back here, we got some significant issue again. Open soffit, insulation, all that stuff. The birds get in that stuff to make their nests. And the longer this stays open, the longer potential is to have further problems that you wouldn't want, especially when critters get involved, looking for a place to get out of the sun or get out of the rain or whatever. So this soffit all is just completely gone. This is probably the most severe problem on the entire house, is this right here. You can see that this, probably again to get clear margin on that, probably should go at least 12 feet back, but you can see how rotted this fascia is. I mean, it's almost completely cut in two just from the rot. Again, we'll talk about this when we get together, but all these branches, they're in the roof, settling on top of the roof. That's just a really, really bad recipe for roof problems, skylight problems. You know, those tree branches, when they move, they're just cutting up those shingles and lifting up the shingles and doing all kinds of damage. All of these guys are, you know, you've got your vent pipes. You know, there's just all kinds of issues with those trees into the roof so close. So again, just a recommendation. It's not anything that we do, but would be to get these trees trimmed and get them off the roof, just to prevent further, you know, further damage. They're accumulating all the leaves up there, which again, the leaves left up there isn't a necessarily great thing on the roof. So again, strong recommendation to get this, the trees trimmed back up off the roof line. So other than this issue and getting that fixed, so we need to fix this entire piece of fascia here before we put on the Hardie fascia to make sure that that's all in good integrity. Again, the soffit's dipping down over this one window, and then we just come back here. This all looks to be in probably the best shape of anywhere. But again, all this aluminum and all that needs to come off, tear off the vinyl soffit, and get everything fixed up right. A couple of places too where you see the trees hitting the shingles where it's already messed up the shingles. And the roof doesn't appear to be all that old. Maybe it is, but in some places on the front it looks relatively new. But anyways, that's kind of the recommendation. The trees can be trimmed back, and then certainly get this soffit area, the places where it's exposed, because critters can get up into the attic to the crawl spaces, and then they just wreak all kinds of havoc from there. So strong advisement to get all that stuff squared away as soon as possible. But look forward to meeting with you, and we can go over all this in person. And thank you so much for having us out today.